Hey, welcome to this terrific Tuesday edition of Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV. I'm John Tobacco. We are coming to you live as we do every single day. Today, from the Hooters Heat Studios, and a whole bunch of great news on iconic brands and Hooters. We'll get into that a little later on. It is a terrific Tuesday indeed. Down the street at the New York Stock Exchange, the Dow is recovering nicely as we speak. Up about 40 points, was up yesterday. Chugging its way right along the line, if you ask me, to 30,000. And Bitcoin is on fire. Reached as high as 10,300 this morning, a little overheated there. But with more fear, fright, and hysteria coming out of China on whether they're underreporting the coronavirus, a lot of cash is going to be looking to get out of China. I think the preferred method will be Bitcoin, so I think it goes higher from here, which is good news for those of you who have a diversified portfolio and a little bit of Bitcoin in there. And great for your portfolio and great for all of us is when I'm joined by my managing editor, Frank Morano. Hi, Frankie.
Hello there, John. Very interesting. A lot happening. Obviously, we're going to be all over this New Hampshire primary. There's some interesting polling data. We're going to break it down a little bit later. I mean, after today, the polls don't matter. But some interesting polling data showing Amy Klobuchar might be polling as high as third. So looking like, at least according to the polls, which I'm skeptical of, a neck-and-neck race for first between Bernie Sanders and Mayor Pete, and then possibly a third-place finish for Amy Klobuchar, which would far exceed expectations, probably Elizabeth Warren in fourth place, and there's a real possibility, John, that we could see a fifth-place finish for Joltin' Joe Biden.
I don't think he's jolted anymore, Frank. You know, for me to do a little frankly speaking, quite frankly, I saw him on Morning Joke this morning. It was Joke and Joke, Joe Biden, Joe Scarborough, and he looked like he was sedated. He was not energetic, charismatic, enthusiastic. And one interesting thing, Frankie, they were talking before Joe Biden came on these lunatic MSNBC channel. They were talking about what the voters want to see is Joe to stand up for his son. Why doesn't he come out and stand up for his son? Trump's beating his son down. Why doesn't he stand up for his son? And then they had Morning Joe on there, and they had Joe Biden on there.
When someone's beating your son, the best thing you could do is keep punching at it and punching at it and punching at it.
Much like Joe suggested when he was talking about ways to stop domestic violence.
That's right.
But there he was, in plain sight for the whole crew, Mike Barnacle, Mika Brzezinski, Joe Scarborough, the whole Joke team was there, Willie, okay? And they asked him about his son, and here's what Joe said. He says, everyone across the board that they brought in under sworn testimony said, I did nothing wrong. They said Joe was squeaky clean, and no one said that, Frankie. Everyone, including the people like Yovanovitch and Kent, said that they were briefed by the Obama administration that this stunk. So he just lied, and there's Morning Joke. They don't even call him on it and say, well, no, Yovanovitch said this and Kent said that. They just give him a free pass. And,
well,
you know.
It's very interesting. I think if Joe Biden does falter here to a fifth-place finish, very quickly you're going to see the Biden supporters, both in terms of voters and in terms of donors, look for another candidate. And I think the real contest at this point is who's going to be the anti-Bernie candidate of the Democratic establishment? Is it going to be Mayor Pete Buttigieg or is it going to be Mayor Mike Bloomberg? And then I think you'll see from now, possibly even until the convention, a contest between Sanders and either Mayor Pete or Mayor Bloomberg.
Well, I think, unfortunately, Frank, and you know I pointed out last week in one of my conspiracy theories with a lot of facts behind it, a whole bunch of Hillary folks were behind the Shadow app. Pete Buttigieg gave $40,000 to Shadow. So it seems like there's some cahoots there. And I think it's really, as usual, the establishment is going to make it an unfair fight for Bernie. And you say it's either Mayor Pete or Bloomberg. I say it's a duo of diminutive mayors going after Bernie. So they're putting their money on both horses right now and say, well, maybe Mayor Pete can win or maybe Mayor Mike can win. And between the two of them, we'll double team Bernie. So Mayor Mike's got all the dough, so I would assume he's going to come out on top.
Well, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. But that is precisely what I am not speaking frankly about. Well, this story hits very close to home because this is something that involves a Staten Islander. And whenever Staten Islanders are making news, especially national news, I'm eager to talk about it. There's a story about a gentleman, a Staten Islander, by the name of Dennis Sprague, 50 years old. He went on vacation with some of his buddies for his 50th birthday and went out, and I think to one of the Carolinas, probably north, and was eager to just have a good time, kick back, relax for his 50th birthday. And take a look at what happened. He had a hat on, a red hat, that said, and he was assaulted because somebody thought that this was a Trump hat. Now, I want to make clear, I don't know Dennis Sprague's politics, Danny Sprague's politics, and I can only guess at them, but the guy did not have a Trump hat on. He had a hat, as you see there, that says, "Make 50 Great Again." But because someone thought that this was a Trump hat, he was assaulted, and they shed his blood because they thought this was a Trump hat. Now, my whole take is, what if this was a Trump hat? I have 3 Trump hats. I wear them from time to time. Should you be assaulted for expressing a political view with your clothing? I don't think so, whether it's for Donald Trump, Bernie Sanders, or the Communist Party, or the Nazis, quite frankly.
I hate interrupting you, frankly. That's the one thing I don't interrupt, but breaking news.
Let's hear it.
This is usually your job. I'm actually texting right now with Danny Sprague.
Oh.
Okay, this is the guy you're talking about.
That's right.
And he's going to come join us tomorrow in studio. But he wanted everyone to know he was in Nashville.
Nashville.
Not the Carolinas.
Thank you.
And I guess tomorrow we'll find out what his political thoughts are. But the hat said, "Make 50 Great Again." And someone assaulted him for thinking it was a MAGA hat.
I think it's a sad day in America where you have to worry about getting assaulted because of the hat that you're wearing. Forget about the stupidity of the person that attacked him here, who thought he was wearing a Trump hat when he wasn't. But even if he was wearing a Trump hat, it should make no difference. America should be a place where you can wear whatever kind of clothing you want and not have to worry about being assaulted, whether it's political or otherwise.
What attorney is going to stand up for red hats? That's what I'm thinking. Their
Well, I think
rights
Danny
are being violated. I mean, you basically can't wear a red hat these days, no matter what it says on it. It means you're Trump, and you could potentially get punched in the face for it.
I think Manny Alejandro has actually represented some of these people in red hat cases.
Well, we should get Manny down here tomorrow when we have Danny here.
I think that would be interesting.
Let's try to figure out not only, and by the way, the guy's a decorated NYPD guy, okay? He's in the bagpipe band that they do all kinds of stuff for charities and everything. And here's the guy just celebrating. And this is happening all over the country, by the way, okay? This just happens to be something that hit the news, but usually the news doesn't even talk about this stuff, Frankie.
You're right, John.
If God forbid some, non-Trump supporter gets injured or gets scared or gets awakened at some Trump rally, then you have every single human rights person out there fighting for them. But someone in a red hat gets punched in the face,
and by the way,
crickets.
That includes with no evidence. I mean, do you remember the nationwide, maybe even international fervor that Jussie Smollett caused when he claimed he was assaulted by people wearing Trump hats? You remember that?
Yep.
And you remember, the story of Mr. Sandman, who was just standing there in Washington, D.C., wearing a Trump hat, and they said that he was threatening an American Indian gentleman.
Crazy.
They were ready to make him a villain. Now, a lot of the media outlets that portrayed him as the villain in that interaction, they had to write he and his family a big check.
And just, Frankie, the beauties of social media, years ago, people probably couldn't communicate like this. Someone I know on Facebook knows Danny, who Facebooked him and talked to me, and we got to break it up. We got to wrap it up. Nico's saying wrap it up. All right, we're going to take a quick break. More on this right after this.